Hi, it's Sean, the Fluency Awesomeizer. This is Decoding Multi-Syllabic Words, episode 10. Got a couple of words I'm going to take a look at in this episode, but before we get started, I want you to get ready to read a passage that I've written. Definitely read it out loud to whoever you're there with. I want you to click pause to give yourself enough time, all right? Get ready to click pause and read this out loud. All right, were any of those words tricky to read? Keep watching if so. In this episode, I'm going to review these 4 words, show you some strategies and some information you might want to recall next time you're stuck on words like these when you're reading independently. But first, a reminder of the fable of the tortoise and the hare, and the moral: slow and steady wins the race, which is great advice when you do get stuck on big, unfamiliar words. And I'll use unfamiliar as an example. Think of these words as races. There is a finish line, and if you read like the hare, you might want to get to that finish line before anyone else. And you'll tend to zip through these big words. All right, that's where mistakes can happen. But if you read like the tortoise, you take it slow and steady when you come to these words. That patience is definitely going to help improve your ability to decode them. All right, keep that in mind. Let's practice. I showed you this word in that passage. It starts with sim. And is that simul, or it could be simul? And do you recognize this ending? All right, at this point, you either do or you don't. It's tricky. This is the word simulation. It's a noun. The root word is simulate, which is a verb. And the trick to this word, I think, is the you. And this word simulate, the you says you, right? That is a rule about you. Maybe you've overlooked. So I like to remember, when you says you say simulate, all right? And the reason that you says you is because it originates in Latin. It's an old Latin word, simulatus. There's the you that says you is simulatus, meaning to copy or to imitate. And this part of the Latin word was kept in English, where they added, at some point in history, they added a silent E at the end, simulate. So we've got simulate now, as there's another Latin word, simulationem. There's the U again, simulationem, meaning an imitation, or it has to do with pretending. So this part of that Latin word with the root A-T-I-O-N there, yeah, that's where we get the word simulation in English. And, you know, simulation, a lot of people talk about VR headsets these days, has to do with simulation. So we need to know this Latin root, A-T-I-O-N. It's not pronounced the way it's spelled. Ation, you might be tempted to spell it Ation or Ashin, depending on how you pronounce it, but it's A-T-I-O-N. It's very unusual. Simulation, not to be confused with this word. I'm going to go to the finish line because I can recognize that tricky part of this word at the end, the Ation. There's sim, simul, or simulation. This is the word assimilation. Assimilation is a noun, it's a really big word. The root word is assimilate, which is a verb. And that too comes to us from ancient Latin. There's a Latin word, assimilatus. It has the Latin root similus. Similus meaning alike or resembling. And if you're thinking similus, that sounds like similar. Yeah, that's where we get the word similar, alike or resembling. And you think you want to have similar socks, right? So assimilatus, what does that have to do with socks? It means to copy or imitate, right? Assimilatus in Latin. So that part of the Latin word is kept in English, where they added a silent E at some point. And now we have assimilate, right? Which means to absorb into a new environment. All right, strange as that sounds, to make sense of that, have you ever moved to a new school or know someone who has moved to a new school, right? There's a nervousness involved with that. Yeah, that's because you have to assimilate, you have to absorb into a new environment. Now imagine moving to a new country, how nervous that must be. There's a Latin word, assimilationem too, and there's the Latin root, A-T-I-O-N, and meaning similarity. So that's where we get the English word assimilation from Latin, and it means the process of becoming similar to something. And assimilation, you can make sense of that. Anytime you move to a new school, you get to know new teachers and new friends and a new bus route, or maybe a new walk to school, and you can become familiar. Assimilation. All right, this word, at the finish line, I can see Asian again. There's a strange vowel pair in the middle, but it starts with sit, and you can say you, remember. So is this situation? It is situation. It's a noun. The root word is situate, which is a verb. And here's another example where the you says you. You might think this word is spelled situate. It sounds like chew, but it's situate. The U says you. And when you says you say situate. Comes to us from Latin as well. Surprise, situatus in Latin. There's the U, but it's also you say the A too. That's how you handle this UA vowel pair. Situatus, meaning to place, like to a place setting at a table. You have to put everything in the right place when you set the table. So there's a Latin word situationem, meaning a place or a position. And that's where we get the English word situation. And so this vowel pair UA, you don't see it very often, but you're familiar with it from the word punctuation, right? I'm talking about punctuation for a long time at school. And if you forget punctuation when you're writing, then you got a situation, don't you? Right, this word, if I start at the finish line, tricky word, I can see the shun part of that root we've been talking about. There's an open syllable to shun. Starts with in, sti. Yeah, this is the word institution. Institution is tricky because it has a couple of eyes in it. You got to keep your eyes on those eyes. They're so skinny they can disappear on you. But there are a lot of T's in this word too, and that if you had trouble reading this word, that could be the reason why. Keeping track of those I's and the T's. Institution is a noun. The root word is institute, also a noun. Institute's a verb as well, and it originates in Latin, institutum. And institutum means something set up, right? Makes me think of that table game, but it also means to establish, like to establish or set up a college, for example, institutum in Latin. That part of the Latin word was kept in English, where, surprise, they added a silent E at the end. Now we have the English word institute. And there's another Latin word, institutionem, with that root U-T-I-O-N. That's institutionem. That's where we get the English word institution. And an institution is something that has been around for a long time. You think of a college or maybe a museum or an art institute, right? So this Latin root U-T-I-O-N, right? It's tricky. It sounds like this word might be spelled institution or institution, but it's U-T-I-O-N, and it comes around every now and then. So just keep that in mind, institution. All right, that's it for today's lesson. Subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Facebook for more decoding videos like this one. Tell a friend, a family member, or a teacher about me too. Spread the good word, that'd be great. And my Facebook page, there's a photo album full of reading challenges I've written to help you continue practice decoding those big words at home anytime you're able. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Come back and see me soon. Bye.